Answer my questions directly. I don't care how many press conferences your orange Cheeto Jesus leader did. What did Donald Trump... Hold on. Answer my questions now. I answered yours. Stop talking.
I want to talk about the interview that you had with the transgender.
Okay.
Can I talk about that? Is that okay?
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to ask, because I'm kind of confused. Are you saying that if she has an opportunity to participate in the Olympics, that you would back her to do that?
If you listened to that interview and you didn't understand my take on transgender women in sports, then I don't know what to tell you. I shouldn't have to explain it again. That's the topic that we disagreed on. And if you actually listen to the interview, and I've talked about that time and time again, my position. Are you saying based on that interview, you don't know where my position stands on transgender women?
I thought I did, but I know you made the comment to her if there's anything that you could do for her.
And you thought that had to do, hold on, and you thought that had to do with her competing in the Olympics? What is, Herb, this is why I get frustrated with you, okay? I'm going to be clear.
Well, I don't care about
okay, I know you don't care, but you struggle to listen, so I'm going to try to explain.
Herb,
you don't listen. Herb, you don't listen. I'm trying to answer your question.
You don't listen, Brian.
Okay. You don't know, based on that interview, what my take is on transgender women competing against naturally born women. Proves right now that you don't listen. So shut up and listen. I will repeat it for you so even somebody like you might understand, Herb. I don't believe that if you're born a man, transition to a woman, you should be competing with other women. The reason why I said if there's anything we can do to help you, because she talked about life after track and field, or if she doesn't play in the Olympics, some other things she could do, whether it be her acting career, whether it be, going on this stage and supporting other transgender athletes with her platform. That is what I was referring to, Herb. Something that I'm sure you would never do for a transgender, okay? Now, is there anything I said here that is not clear, Herb? Have I not made it clear to you? Did I not answer your question?
No, okay, you did. I know in the past that you have said that you didn't think the transgenders should compete.
No, not in the past. I said it today. Why you say the past?
You said it today, too. Okay,
Thank you.
Said it today,
Thank you.
Let me finish my comment. My comment is that if a woman can compete with men in sports, I don't have a problem. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see a woman that could pitch in the major leagues if she could do it. I mean, there's no problem with that. But when we start talking about transgenders, that's what the Trump administration is against: transgender men playing with women and then
okay, but here's Herb. Mm-hmm. There are about 6,000 or 7,000 Division I college athletes, and of those athletes, about 13 of them are transgender athletes. However, Donald Trump has made it a ploy, or whatever you'd like to call it, to talk about this issue 24/7. In every single poll out there, when they polled Americans on their top 5 issues that they care about the most, this never comes up. It's not a top 5 issue. It's not a top 10 issue. Yet Donald Trump, the guy who you voted for, still does not have a replacement plan for health care. But yet they want to talk about banning books and transgenders 24/7. There's no evidence that if a transgender woman goes into a woman's bathroom, that there is more likely a crime to be committed in that bathroom. Yet people like Nancy Mace, maybe even people like you, I don't know, like to talk about how horrible transgender people are. Let me be very clear. The war is raging right now in Ukraine. Okay, groceries have skyrocketed. I've talked about that. The Epstein files weren't released. There's a cover-up going on right now. We all know that. Pam Bondi is talking about the deep state, right? The issue in Israel right now, in the Israel-Palestinian conflict, is worse now than it was a month ago. Why aren't you guys talking about that and criticizing Donald Trump instead of talking about transgenders? Can you answer that for me, please, Herb?
You're the one that had the woman on, the transgender on today.
And you're the one that called into the show. And you're the one that. And you're the one that. And you're the one. Excuse me, Herb. And you're the one that called into the show.
No, don't excuse me. All I'm saying is that I don't have a problem with women playing with men if they can compete.
I didn't ask you about transgenders, Herb. I asked you about all the issues. I gave you the opportunity to talk about transgenders. Okay, we agree on this issue. Okay, fine. I brought up all these other issues. The wildfires in South Carolina. The war is going on right now. Grocery prices. Epstein cover-up. And your leader, Donald Trump, was at Mar-a-Lago, that fat slob, playing golf. Doesn't that bother you, Herb? We're off the transgender issue now. My question to you is, doesn't that bother you?
I don't think there's any question about the fact that Donald Trump does more work in one day than Biden did in a whole
What has he done? Tell us. What has he done?
He's constantly doing things daily.
What has he done this weekend? What did he do? Tell me.
Biden will shut it down at 2 o'clock.
We're not talking about Joe Biden. What did done? We're not.
He's had more contact with the media than anybody than
had
Biden ever had.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Herb, you got to stop now. He's had more contact with the media. Herb, listen to how stupid you sound. If Donald Trump, what's the point of a politician holding a press conference every day when they embarrass the country and they lie? I don't care how many press conferences Donald Trump does. He played golf over the weekend. Again, answer my questions directly. I don't care how many press conferences your orange Cheeto Jesus leader did. What did Donald Trump... Hold on, answer my questions now. I answered yours. Stop talking. Listen to my question. What did Donald Trump do over the weekend to address the wildfires in South Carolina? Can you tell me what he did? If you don't know, that's okay, but can you tell me, Herb? He hung up the phone. Exactly. Another MAGA coward. Let me answer for Herb because he's a coward. Donald Trump did nothing over the weekend dealing with the wildfires in South Carolina. Nothing. He did nothing to address grocery prices and inflation that continues to go up over the weekend. He played golf. He made the situation in the Ukraine worse. He embarrassed us on a national stage. The Israel-Palestinian conflict is worse now than it was a month ago. He's done nothing to help except say he wants to take over Gaza. And as far as the Epstein cover-up, where all you MAGA idiots out there thought for some reason all these files were going to come out and all these Democrat pedophiles were going to be exposed, and Pam Bondi was embarrassed. And then when she got embarrassed, she did what all these other right-wing idiots do, blame the deep state. When there's no evidence except for Pam Bondi is incompetent and these morons that were holding these Epstein binders that they didn't even bother to read exposed nothing. But Herb wants to call into the show and talk about transgenders, but he doesn't want to address, notice, any of the things that I brought up in this conversation because he's a MAGA moron. So you mean to tell me that all of these families and all of these people that were in these facilities are all lying and it's all a conspiracy? Is that what you're saying, Herb?
Okay, Jolene said that I question your mental acuity, your mental state. I said nothing about your mental state. I talked about your physical state.
What's wrong with my physical state?
About you having a heart attack or a nervous breakdown, Brian. Had nothing to do with mental. If you disagree with me and I disagree with you, that's fine.
I have some bad news for you, Herb.
I
have some bad news for you. My cholesterol is very low.
Good.
My blood pressure is actually quite well. I have a lot of wonderful friends. Thank God they're not MAGA, but I have a lot of good friends in Las Vegas. I have a lovely, I won't give out too much information, but I have a lovely woman that I've been dating and I admire her very much. And things are very, very well. But I think the best thing about my life is none of my close friends are Trump supporters.
Okay, but that's fine, Brian.
Yeah.
Bottom line is that, look, I don't know you other than this radio show, and you don't know me. I don't want to see anything bad to happen to you. People are going to disagree. You think I'm stupid? I may think you're stupid. Bottom line is that I don't want you to have a problem with your physical health or nothing like that. But
so can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question,
yeah.
Herb? I appreciate that. So if you're a man of empathy and you don't want anything bad to happen to me and you want my health to be good, then why wouldn't you feel the same way about nonviolent people that have lived in this country for decades that don't have the right paperwork, that are being separated from their families and get sent to, alligator Alcatraz, where people are getting beaten and having to in the El Salvador prison where people are being tortured. If you care about somebody, then why would you be okay with that?
There's a lot of things that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the fact that over the last 4 years when Biden was president, he lifted the gates with tractors.
That wasn't what I just asked you. Herb, why can't you address what I asked you? You're not answering my question. Herb,
we don't know who they are. They got to go. Bottom line is I'm not here to argue with you.
Herb, it wasn't an argument. I asked you a question. The reason why I interrupt is because you don't answer the question. You bring up Joe Biden. So I'm going to ask the same question again. And I need you to pay attention to the question, and hopefully you can answer the question, okay? You didn't answer the question. All you said in general terms was, I'm, quote, concerned about a lot of things. That wasn't the question. You said you're concerned about my health. Okay, great. I appreciate you being concerned about my health.
I know what you
said,
Brian.
Okay. I'm asking you about people in this country that are not getting due process, many of whom are non-violent criminals that are being separated from their families, treated like dogs, okay, that are being sent to El Salvador.
Treated like dogs how?
I will explain it to you, and I guess this is the problem because you clearly are not informed. We have multiple witnesses and people that were in the El Salvador prison, including Mr. Garcia, who said they were forced to be beaten and they had to sleep on their knees. There were maggots on their food. In the alligator Alcatraz, we were told the same thing, that these people are being tortured. And we've learned that. Oh, wait. So you mean to tell me, hold on. So you mean to tell me that all of these families and all of these people that were in these facilities are all lying and it's all a conspiracy? Is that what you're saying, Herb? And Herb hangs up the phone. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it is impossible to have a conversation with somebody like Herb because he can't answer a question directly. He claims that he cares about somebody like me, but if you're an undocumented immigrant that has been living in this country for decades, that has a family, in some instances breastfeeding their 1-year-old daughter, that are nonviolent criminals, that have families here, that even pay taxes, he's totally okay with those people being sent to concentration camps. Notice how he didn't want to answer that question. And then he claims he thinks that, you know, these facilities like the El Salvador prison and Alligator Alcatraz are like, you know, a motel or a hotel or a resort. Oh, no, that couldn't be happening there. It's ridiculous.
He had a caller a couple of calls ago, and he was saying that in the Bible that Jesus or someone told women to go get an abortion, I believe he said.
Yes, Herb.
Did you hear that? Did you hear it when he said that?
Okay. If he said that or he didn't say that, what does that to pertain to what we are talking about?
Well, the reason why I was asking, I want to know where it was in the Bible.
Well, let's have that caller call back in and tell us the scripture.
Herb, I don't recall somebody saying that. If they did, they did. If they didn't, they didn't. Do you think would you call yourself a Christian man, Herb, if you don't mind me asking?
So I'm asking you a question, Brian. He said you could find it in the Bible.
Not Brian. The caller said he could find it in the Bible. Okay, so we don't know.
Nobody asked me that question.
Brian, wait a minute. Hold on. Brian, you agreed with him. Did you not agree with him?
Herb, once again, I don't agree.
Did you agree with him or not?
Why don't you be quiet? Why don't you let me answer and shut up?
Be quiet.
Yeah, you are, because it's my show. It's my show and not yours, Herb. Why don't you let me answer your stupid question? I never said I agreed that in the Bible it says get an abortion. I never said that, Herb. Get the MAGA wax out of your ears. How could you be so stupid, Herb? Really? You're a very ignorant man, Herb.
And Herb,
you voted for Donald Trump. Hey, Herb, let's ask a prevalent. By the way, I didn't. And then he hangs up the phone. Herb, you're a complete imbecile. By the way, let me be very clear. Herb is the guy who supports Donald Trump. Notice how Herb doesn't want to talk about the real issues, which are Medicaid off the table and undocumented immigrants being dropped off at the ER that may not be able to get the health care that they need, the life-saving health care. Herb doesn't want to talk about that, but he calls into this show to say, Brian, do you agree that, you know, Jesus says you should get an abortion in the Bible? I never said that, you stupid idiot, okay? Have a nice weekend, Herb, okay? And have fun pleasuring yourself to your Donald Trump poster. Holy smokes.
You know what's so crazy is this reminds me of my childhood where, like, exactly like you said, Brian, here's the core issue. Here's the core thing we're talking about. And then there's a whole random sidetrack that has nothing to do with it that distracts from the actual core message and what needs to be talked about. So that's exactly how I was raised. And part of why I had to leave that side of, like, let's talk about the bigger issue and stop getting distracted by things that don't really matter.
Yeah. And you know what I would ask Herb? I would say, Herb, are you okay with women that are the victims of incest or sexual abuse to be forced to have that child? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with undocumented immigrants not getting life-saving health care in the ER? But no, Herb wants to talk about some comment that somebody allegedly made about, abortion in the Bible. Herb, you're a complete moron.